Vice President Oshibaja says Nigeria's recent upgrade in the World Bank Index of Ease of Doing Business will strengthen her drive for regional integration.
National Assembly set to receive 2018 appropriation bill as both chambers get executive communication.
Indulgence of the National Assembly to grant me the slot of 1400 hours on Tuesday, 7th November 2017 to formally address a joint session and lay before the National Assembly the 2018 budget proposal.
House of Representatives to investigate remittance into the Federation account by JAMB from 2007 to date.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we focus on the National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST 2017.
History is being made again as Nigeria staged the 30th edition of National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST, in Kaduna.
Well, this year's event, which is the 5th to be hosted by Kaduna State since the introduction of the annual cultural fiesta, is said to be special.
Yes, the week-long festival, which has as its theme Nigeria, Unity and Peace. Pride officially commenced Tuesday, the 31st of November. 31st of October, I beg your pardon, 2017, with a Delba featuring the Emir of Zozo. And of course, I'm sure there's so many things also to see.
Absolutely. As part of this year's event, there is also, for the first time, a cultural golf tournament, which is being staged in addition to capacity building for youth in various skill acquisition programs. So,
what is the response of the states to the festival? Since it's the 30th edition, I'm sure there have been several states participating with a different offering to the festival from time to time. So what will be different, really? And since you said that it's also going to be the first ever cultural golf, I wonder, for those who have always seen the game as an elitist game, what they'll be watching out for.
That's right.
Now, why the introduction of skills acquisition, and what are the ways to go to accelerate the commercial as well as economic content of their cultural assets identifiable to each state of the Federation? And how will this festival, the format, be improved upon to achieve its purpose? This is Good Morning Nigeria, the Friday edition. My name is Blessing Abu. Thank you for staying with us on the program.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Blessing also welcoming you to this edition of the program. In the course of which, of course, we have our regular companion segments, and these are newspaper review, business, sports, entertainment. As always, it's a live broadcast, and we're reaching you from the headquarters studios of the Nigerian Television Authority, we're Africa's largest television network. Let's join our colleague now, Ogwa Vivian Oyedibia, for the morning news. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Kingsley and Blessing. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the news desk. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Oshibaja says the recent upgrade of Nigeria in the World Bank Index of Ease of Doing Business and inclusion in the 10 most improved nations in the world will strengthen Nigeria's drive for regional integration. The Vice President was speaking at a two-day high-level policy and private sector trade and investment partnership forum for development in Abuja.
The agreement is also important for us, especially as it affords an opportunity to deepen our plans for intra-regional trade and indeed regional economic integration. In particular, we have a unique opportunity to leverage on our commitments to work on customs cooperation and other elements of trade facilitation and the financing of cross-border infrastructure.
And to the legislature now, the Senate has received an executive communication from President Muhammadu Buhari seeking approval to present the 2018 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly on Tuesday, 7th November. 3 bills were also passed for second reading at plenary, comprising a bill for an act to establish the National Tea and Coffee Development Council, A bill for an act to provide for legal, fiscal and regulatory framework for sustainable energy development in Nigeria, and that for an act to amend the Federal Capital Territory Act of 2004.
The issue of resettlement and compensation cannot be overemphasized. Indeed, this National Assembly and this Senate is the State House of Assembly for the FCT and the people of the FCT.
I crave the kind indulgence of the National Assembly to grant me the slot of 1400 hours on Tuesday, 7th November 2017, to formally address a joint session and lay before the National Assembly the 2018 budget proposal.
And still on the legislature, the House of Representatives is to investigate the remittance into the Federation account by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board JAMB from 2007 to date. This followed a motion by Representative Alexander Adekola from Ekiti State. The legislators also urged the Minister of Finance and concerned agencies to halt alleged plan to divert $35 million from the World Bank-funded growth and employment project, moved by Representative Mark Miller from Benue State.
The Matriculation Board, JAMB, remitted the sum of $5 billion into the coffers of the government, with a balance of $3 billion still to be remitted, amounting to $8 billion within 9 months of the tenure of the current management of JAMB.
To urge the Minister of Finance, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the GEM project team and the World Bank to halt the planned movement of $35 million out of the GEM project account and discontinue any processes towards the consideration or approval of the new restructuring proposal for the creation of the SME Investment Fund.
Well, the House is also considering a bill that seeks to expand the powers of the National Agricultural Land Development Authority to include the establishment of national farm settlement and youth empowerment agencies. And away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari has engaged the Imo State Governor, Rochas Okorocha, on ways of enhancing federal presence in the southeast so as to give the people a better sense of belonging. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president also discussed labor matters with the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige.
The Southeast before now was not majorly in APC, but we have come to realize that we were better off in APC than any other party in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the need for Mr. President to come to Southeast as quickly as possible to begin to show his presence.
3 state governments are keying into the rural sanitation and hygiene promotion in Nigeria Rushpin project, an indication that the federal government's commitment towards sanitation and hygiene across the country is gaining momentum. Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu and governors of Benue, Ondo and Sokoto states met and pledged adequate funding for the project, especially in a bid to end open defecation in the country.
We didn't meet the MDG's target, and part of the reason was because there wasn't much political will. So we need to step up. We need to bring in other stakeholders. We need to bring in the private sector. We need to bring in the business community and the communities themselves.
Because we had to look into it seriously, and we must make effort to make our communities ODM.
We are very much committed to ensuring that we improve on the welfare and the well-being of our people. So I assure you and I guarantee you that.
Moving on, the European Union, in collaboration with the UN Women, is creating awareness among Nigerian youth on gender equality through a comic cartoon competition put together to harness the energy, creativity and initiative of young Nigerians between the ages of 18 and 26. The challenge before the participants is to communicate in drawing and expression on women's rights and empowerment, and 5 finalists emerged from 103 participants. The organizing entities say the task before the chosen ones is to unleash their creativity in illustrating what positive changes they desire to see in the society.
Was to harness the creativity of young people in Nigeria and to have them picture it, to picture gender equality.
Interesting that 4 of the 5 winners were men. Of course, that reflects the reality in which we live in, but it's great to see 4 gender-sensitive men picture a world, a Nigeria, where women can realize their full potential with their men as partners.
When we respect each other, it's not only about gender, but it starts with gender. Let us respect the different sexes and the strengths that they bring to nation building.
23-year-old Alabi Damiola emerged winner of the competition. Well, that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria. We'll be back with Kingsley and Blessing after this break.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Must have bought the Harpic 200 ml.
Why Harpic when I have this?
Detergent and bleach can't give a sparkling clean toilet even after 10 times. But Harpic 200 ml gives a sparkling clean toilet at one go.
Harpic 200 ml. Real deal. Now only 200 naira.
Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo.
These patriots worked together to achieve independence for one united Nigeria. Although some may say Nigeria is a mistake, we all know that the Almighty never makes mistakes.
God has not made a mistake by bringing us all together in the way that He has brought us together. God has put us together here so that we can build a community that will be an example to the entire world.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Cold and flu can spread through the contact of hands. And in such situations, I can't risk falling ill. So I recommend Dettol, as it protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why I want to be Dettol sure. Dettol, be 100%.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Made in Nigeria campaign. In the midst of unprecedented multiple challenges, our great country Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy, is surely marching on to a new era of all-round prosperity, especially through re-engineered and diversified economy, powerfully driven by the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses. Our objective is to make Nigeria a new manufacturing hub.
It is not time to complain. It is time to join the campaign. It is time for economic recovery, growth and diversification of our economy. By Made in Nigeria.
Helen! Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now?
Sure.
This gets just 1.
It is clean.
But not perfect 10.
Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible.
Challenge? Try the new Apic 10X. Compared to bleach and detergent, Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow.
Now you also take that
Apic 10X challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack.
If you just tuned in, the program is Good Morning Nigeria, showing live on the network service of the NTA. Time now to take a look at what the business report is saying for the day. National Productivity Center gets ISO certification. Plus, Nigeria's central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, underscores gains of national monetary policy when he hosted the Queen of Netherlands. Details with Kolo Mohammed.
Hello there. Good morning and thanks for joining us on Business News. Nigeria's central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, says the bank verification number, BVN, has restored commendable sanity into Nigeria's financial system. The CBN governor put the nation's economy into perspective when he received Her Excellency Maxima Willem Alexander, the Queen of Netherlands, in his office.
Towards this, the bank introduced a number of initiatives, prominent amongst which are the agent banking framework, the tiered Know Your Customer framework. On the back of these and similar reforms, Your Majesty, I am pleased to note that we have moved from 46.3% exclusion rate in 2010 to 41.6% in 2016.
Indeed, I was here 5 years ago to launch the national strategy, and I was also in the mayor declaration. So I know that you have very ambitious targets, and I know you have a large commitment, and you have had advances, and you have tried very hard, and I know that we've been also aiding you and working with you in that process.
The governor assured the Queen of readiness of the CBN and federal government's commitment to sustain current gains in the nation's monetary policy. The National Productivity Center has been accredited as the recognized training center for the certification of ISO 9001-2015. International Organizations for Standardization, ISO, is an internationally recognized benchmark for measurement of quality of goods and services.
You must have heard of our goods being rejected in the European markets, the issues of our yam being rejected, our red beans being rejected, and even the quality of services provided by Nigerian companies being rejected. So we felt that we should be part of the process whereby the quality of these goods and services should be enhanced.
Organizations that are certified ISO compliant are seen globally as organizations whose goods and services are of high quality and are duly accepted in the international market. The stock market closed in the red at the close of trading Thursday on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange as the all-share index shedded 0.03%, leaving all-share index at 36,877.14 basis point. Up ahead is a graphic summary of Thursday's closing figures. That's Business News. Good Morning Nigeria continues right after now. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much, Kolo Mohammed. Now, what are those stories making the front pages of the newspapers? Let's find out as Newspaper Review is up next on Good Morning Nigeria.
As always, Bayo Atoyebi, our reviewer, is right here with us in the studios for today's edition. Bayo, morning and welcome to the program.
Kingsley. Good morning, Blessing. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, we have a number of stories trending on the front pages of the papers, stories on politics and the economy, in particular, the BVN. Let's take a look, for instance, at the New Telegraph. That's the story above the name flag of the New Telegraph. It says with a kicker, BVN, non-compliant banks risk contempt, and that's according to the federal government. And with the rider, lenders may head to court and engage AGF. AGF, of course, stands for the Attorney General of the Federation. The politics story which is leading the front page of a New Telegraph is on 2019. That's another kicker. Will resist automatic ticket for Buhari. That's attributed to Okorocha, who's governor of Imo State. And Kalu, that's one of the riders. Ndigbo will vote massively for president. And Oshamole, I'm not plotting Oyegun's removal. Details of this story can be found on pages 2 and 29.
All right, I think I'll take the cue from the politics story. Well, for blueprints, we have a leading for blueprint this morning. 2019, defiant Atiku declares for president. There's a rider to, okay, that's another story. Now, for that of Atiku, you find more details on page 6 of the paper. Now, just above that, that's below the nameplates now, you have amnesty fails to prove rights abuses before presidential panel. More details on page 32. Quickly now to other stories from the Nigerian Tribune. We have this one on the FCC sets up a crack team to probe Babachir. More details of that story on page 4. But just above that, you have the story from the politics right now. 2019, no automatic ticket for Buhari. Okorocha is on saying that. More details on page 2. There are other stories, but let's get quickly to...
Yeah, just before Bayo comes in, the other stories on the economy, of course, these stories have to do with the 2018 appropriation. Sure. We had a story on that in our bulletin, but it's also there on the front page. It's the lead story for both the Leadership newspaper and the Nigerian Pilot. The Leadership captures it this way with the kicker. It says 2018 budget. NAS, that's the National Assembly, may not pass appropriation bill by December. And it has 2 riders. It says wants executive not to retire 2017 budget prematurely. And foreign reserves rise by $7.98 billion in 10 months. Details of the story can be found on page 6. And it is for the Nigerian Pilot, it comes across like this. 2018. Budget impasse looms as Buhari presents 2018 estimates November 7. Right.
Well, if you have an account in a bank and you don't have a bank verification number, you may be forfeiting that account by the end of today, because today is the deadline that was given by the court, a federal high court in Abuja, that all accounts must have a bank verification number. And some papers have in fact given us the data situation. There are about 97.5 million bank accounts in Nigeria. 67,200,000 of the accounts are active, and about 51,772,000 have bank verification number. So far, it is, since they started the advent of bank verification, about 30,500,000 have gotten bank verification number. It's been issued, but there's still about 15,480,000 accounts that are very unactive and unregistered. Experts are suggesting, however, that there ought to have been a ceiling of about 10 million for such sums that are to be forfeited, because otherwise the ordinary persons who actually are poor and don't understand the intricacies of this banking transaction, particularly in the rural areas, might be caught on the nap. The other lead story is about the budget. The president has sought the audience of the National Assembly to present the 2018 budget before a joint session of the National Assembly as required by the Constitution. However, the National Assembly, in the letter to the National Assembly, indicated that it will be presented at the 2 p.m. on Tuesday. The members of the House of Rep, however, there was a mild uproar. Particularly, it ensued from an error, I think, when the speaker was announcing and said budget 2017. But the interesting development there is that the Minister for Budget and National Planning has said that the figures of the budget are the prerogative of the president. And however, he is not prepared to reveal them. But we have a picture of it from the medium-term expenditure framework. The Senate leader had given indication and cautioned that we should not be in a hurry to rush the budget, and because if we don't succeed in implementing the budget within 6 months, there is a danger if we try to rush it. And if we go by background, the budget of 2016 was presented to the Senate on December 22nd, and it was not passed until May. That gives you a span of about 6 months.
Exactly.
That of 2017 was presented on December 14th and was passed only June 12th. That's about 7 months. So presenting November, all things being equal, except there is a lot of stampede and quick action. The possibility of it being passed before December is far-fetched. And then you don't forget too that government has intention that they want to return to the budget January to December budget cycle.
Which is safer.
But economically, the imperatives are very high. Foreign reserves now is about 33.3 billion. Oil prices are now at about $58.7 per barrel for the OPEC 14 baskets, but Brent crude is about $61. Gross domestic product, which grew 0.55% and pulled out of recession, is also on the ascendancy. Central Bank has succeeded in providing a buffer for by pushing demand for foreign exchange from the parallel market to the formally regulated market. And the rates are now gradually converging to about 363.
Okay, Kingsley?
Yeah, let's return to the Nigerian pilot. That's the second list story on the front page of the pilot. Just below the photograph there, it says a fresh twist in Kogi workers' strike. Gunmen kill labor leader. It says fresh twist in Kogi workers' strike. Gunmen kill labor leader. You have a window of other headlines there. It says one of them on page 6 in greater detail says you must appear before Senate. Saraki tells Inspector General of Police. And Senate discovers over $1 billion alleged fraud in Ministry of Power.
Okay, let's take a look at stories at the foot of the blueprint. We have labor leader to others murdered in Kogi. That's a story taken also by Kingsley from his paper. 2 Nigerian journalists killed, 12 assaulted in 2017. This is credited to the International Press Center. That's a story from there. Fashola's Power Ministry squandered $385 million. And Senator Dino Melaye is the one saying that. You find out more details on page 13. Reps direct Health Federal Capital Territory ministers to provide details on State House Clinic. More details on page 5. Quickly now to the Nigerian Tribune. The photograph, you have the women in Makurdi. You have Benue State yesterday, Thursday, declaring support for the anti-grazing law, which came into force in the state on November 1. And just below that, you have Senate to probe Obasanjo, Jonathan, El-Rufai, others over concession of government properties in Federal Capital Territory. There is a rider to probe alleged $1.035 billion fraud in Power Ministry. More details on page 4. Okay, Bayo.
Yes, what I found strange, blessing, is the demonstration in Benue. The anti-grazing law came into effect 1st of November. We have heard of people demonstrating half-nude against something. They were demonstrating this time half-nude in support of the grazing bill. It's the first time I'm hearing such. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari is said to be visiting Ebonyi State anytime from now, and through there he will be passing through Imo State onto Anambra. Governor Rochas Okorocha disclosed this yesterday when he visited the president. You know, the president on receiving, he said, my governor, my governor. You know, he called it his rallying call, my people, my people. The president gave it back to him. My governor, my governor. He responded, my president, my president. And he says, well, the president needs to visit the southeast so that he can warm himself up into the hearts of people in the area. So he discussed also how the president, the other issue he raised is also the subject of the automatic ticket, is emphasizing the posture of the party, that there will be no impunity. Every process that is spelled out in the constitution of the party will have to be followed. But meanwhile, in Anambra State, the Commissioner of Police has announced the arrest of 2 persons at Onitsha at a printing press. They were found or alleged to be printing leaflets for the proscribed terrorist group, Independent Indigenous People of Biafra. The leaflets were carrying captions calling for a boycott of election. He says no election in Anambra State. Biafra declare a seat at home and order such. Police say that they are sure that there will be peace and order, and they are calling on people to turn out for the November 8 election. Meanwhile, those who are behind the printing of the posters are being sold to the police, and they are to be brought to book.
All right, Bayo, we'd like to thank you. Just before we leave, there's one last story, this time from the front page also of Leadership. It has to do with the ranking of states.
Yes.
And that's at the foot of the front page of Leadership. It says there, economic ranking, Lagos, Delta, and Rivers emerge most competitive states. For details of that story, you can find out on page 23. This is a novel approach.
Yes, actually it was done by the National Competitive Council of Nigeria. And they actually tested 23 indicators across the country. Well, because of time, we can't go into the details about that.
Let's keep the other states too
yeah, that's
on their
right.
toes to actually see
absolutely. Let's see what the level of imitation or real competition, a healthy competition, can emerge from all of this. Bayo Atoyebi, we hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much.
It's Good Morning Nigeria still. Let's take a short break now. When we return, we'll be dealing with NAFEST 2017.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Your perfect family is under threat by germs. Infectious diseases are now the world's biggest killer of adults and children. Every day, 16,000 children under the ages of 5 and thousands of adults die from infectious diseases. These infectious diseases are caused by germs. They are everywhere. An average human being comes in contact with over 1 million germs daily. In unclean water, dirty surfaces, in the toilet, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes. Germs can cause deadly diseases like typhoid, diarrhea, flu, and cough. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's One Cap Full for surface cleaning in your bathing water, in your laundry water, for first aid, to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol Sure. Endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Hold it! Me! I don't come out my hand from oil bunkering. General, what you gonna yarn? What did the yarn say? I don't understand though. Because they spoil our water and our environment. And they cause our people serious harm. Militants say, you know good. Me! I not do again Sam. Because why? Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) hereby informs the general public that shareholders that are yet to register for the ongoing free e-dividend registration should approach their banks or registrars to mandate the bank accounts for the collection of their dividend electronically, including unclaimed dividends not exceeding 12 years of issue. The free registration sponsored by SEC closes on 31st December 2017. Furthermore, investors that bought shares of the same company during public offers using different names are given forbearance up till 31st December 2017 to approach their stockbrokers or registrars to regularize their shareholdings in line with the Securities and Exchange Commission's rules on customer identification. Thereafter, all shares not regularized shall be transferred on trust to the Capital Market Development Fund. These are part of the Securities and Exchange Commission's initiative to further improve investors' benefit and confidence in the Nigerian capital market.
All right, you're welcome back. But if you just joined us, it's Good Morning Nigeria. We're reaching you on the network service of the NTA. Today we are discussing The NAFEST 2017, that's the National Festival of Arts and Culture, which kicked off in Kaduna earlier this week. To get started, let's join our correspondent, Austin Ayebe, for this background before we bring in our guests.
The first National Festival of Arts and Culture was held in 1970, and since then proved that the culture sector has inherent and abundant resources from which Nigerians can seek and sustain decent employment, thereby developing the economy. Apart from serving as a means of preserving the nation's rich cultural heritage, it's an avenue of bringing Nigerians from different backgrounds together to showcase their indigenous cultural activities with a view to sharing with one another. Through this, it is seen as a means of addressing the problems associated with the nation's diversities. All this explains why the 30th edition of the Fiesta holding in Kaduna for the 5th time came up with strategies geared towards the promotion of national peace and unity using culture. With the theme, Nigeria Peace and Unity, Our Pride, the event is packaged to contribute to attitudinal reorientation and value disposition against hate speeches. The National Council for Arts and Culture, organizer of the Fiesta, led by the Director General Otumba Olusegun Rusewe, is passionate about the traditional platform for talent hunt, skills development, and marketing the best of Nigeria's cultural heritage. The colorful Doba put together by the Emir of Zozo, Alasheu Idris, was a sight to behold. The large number of people who turned out for the 30th edition speaks volume about the quest for the revival of the nation's indigenous culture. The technical theme, Nigerian folklore, harnessing today as tomorrow's heritage, was extensively discussed at the colloquium held inside Lugat Hall, with eminent Nigerians in the cultural and creative arts in attendance.
It's not necessarily, if you like, antiquated. It's not like antiquated practices, because we accept that the technologies now, I will ask the television, the radio, and so on. So we need to factor those ones as well.
The event showcased, among others, made in Nigerian fabrics and various items telling the story of the abundant potentials for economic development in Nigeria. The cultural market hosts contingents with beautiful creative ideas and talents, with states showcasing traditional cuisines, telling the story of varieties of food in Nigeria.
Peace, when it runs everywhere, our nation, our people will develop to the extent that we don't look for anything from anybody.
Various states put up their shows in group instrumentation, indigenous proverb rendition, and dramatization of selected proverbs and traditional wrestling. Passionate about the children to indulge in creative writing and other work of art, the Director General and his team took children from different states participating on a visit to a foundation by the wife of the governor of Kaduna State to acquaint the children with the art of creative writing, where she recited a poem to the children, with the Director General of NCAC calling on other wives of governors to emulate her to promote reading culture among children.
This is home to children, so we're very happy to have you here.
The event, which entered day 5, is still ongoing, with stakeholders saying there is a huge potential in the industry to unite Nigerians and develop the economy, but this will be achieved first if conscious efforts are made to preserve and transfer the nation's cultural heritage to the coming generation.
Thank you very much, Austin Ayebe, for that background report. Now joining us to discuss NAFEST 2017, I'd like to introduce first Comrade Ta Uko. Is the Artistic Director and Chief Executive Officer, National Theatre, as well as National Troupe of Nigeria. I would like to welcome Comrade Ta Uko to the program.
Thank you very much, Comrade.
Also, join us in the studio here in Abuja. We also want to introduce and welcome Dr. Munzali Dentata, former Director General, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTO. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio, Dr. Dentata.
Thank you for inviting me.
Kingsley, we have another guest joining us.
All right, that's from our Kaduna Network studios. We have been joined at this time by Otumba Olusegun Rusewe. He's Director General of National Council for Arts and Culture. Otumba Rusewe, our pleasure to have you join us again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here again.
All right, let's begin the conversation with you because you're right at the epicenter where the NAFES 2017 is taking place. We've had a report from our correspondent together, of course, with video clips of some of the events at the ongoing festival. But what makes 2017 unique in any way?
Thank you very much. Let me first and foremost make it very clear that this is the festival that unites the nation. We have made frantic effort to depart from the academic aspect of cultural content of our great country, to impact on the people, to feel and appreciate what culture means to us as a people. For the first time, we're introducing skill acquisition. Like you are fully aware, my agency just got 300 million loan from Bank of Industry to help the creative industry. So with all this in mind, we have come out this time to showcase the strength of our country. Because without our culture, our heritage, our language, and all we have as a people, we cannot make any effort in this regard. So to us, we're using NAFES to send a very strong statement that all this idea of hate speeches, disagreeing with each other, etc. And that's why we coin it Nigerian. Unity is our pride. Peace is our pride. We must bring the two together to synergize. And on this note, I'd like to quickly mention that His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, has been very supportive. And Kaduna State is the only state that have hosted NAFES 5 times in 30 years. So with all this in mind, we've been able to come back to Kaduna, a home where history has been made. A lot of Nigerians don't understand this aspect. In 1914, the amalgamation of Nigeria was actually taking place at Lugard Hall here in Kaduna. The Civil War of 1967 to 1970 was actually cut off, same Lugard Hall. So the unity of Nigeria, the peace of this country, Kaduna has a role to play. And that's why we went back to the Sir Lugard Hall we held our colloquium there to network and go back to the spirit of our great-grandfathers who said Nigeria must remain as one. The good news I've got for Nigerians today is nothing can separate this country. All those drama characters who has been calling, probably some of them were not even born when we had the Civil War. If they do, they will not be asking for one. Let me quote again. Ojukwu, who led then the Biafran War, said he did then, but there's no need for another one. So the time to unite our country. Something spectacular happened yesterday. And I must thank Her Excellency, the wife of the governor. She received all the children from all the states. And one of the students said, I'm going to show my mother the picture I took with Her Excellency. That means that child is already connected, knowing fully well it's not nice to be criminal, it's not nice to be unfaithful, it's not nice not to be a good Nigeria. She's looking at the wife of the governor as our icon for the future. That is one major disconnection about our culture. We must tenaciously come back to embrace our culture, which will make our country better for it.
Otumba, thank you very much. Now let's get down to specifics. The last point you just made actually speaks to that. In terms of occurrences at the ongoing festival that seek to help achieve the goal of the theme, which is namely Nigeria's unity and the need for us to feel really proud about ourselves and about our country. What else is there apart from music and dancing that will help channel not just the energies and as well as the thoughts and thinking of the participants and all those other attendees towards this same theme of unity and pride?
Thank you very much, Kisley. Let me correct one impression today. culture and tourism in particular are not about dancing. It's about creating jobs. It's about impacting on the people. You see, today, if you sell a barrel of oil, maybe 3 families in Ikoyi, Dawaki Road, Metama, and Co will benefit. But if you put 2 million naira in this industry, you may be empowering over 50,000 people. Some of the people in this industry don't need more than 100,000 as their capital. So to us, spicing up the occasion is that. Do you know that as at yesterday, we've given free training to skill acquisition to over 300 youths in Kaduna State. They will never forget that. So we are talking about empowering the people, reducing poverty, increasing capacity of our people. If all these are put in place, honestly, we have less criminals. Even those on the street will leave. Yesterday, we had a very shocking revelation. I repeat, a very shocking revelation. A guy who has been selling cigarettes and all this on the street came there yesterday to learn how to make beads. And it was very good. So we have been able to take out some few individuals. I want Nigerians to get it clear. Culture and tourism is not about dancing and beating drum. It's about creating jobs. It's about artistic development of individuals. Creative is about individual, not about everybody just coming to say, I've created this, I've done that. Other countries are using it. As of today, over 17 countries in Africa depend on their culture and tourism of their GDP, which ran 3, 4 to 6%, constant for 6 years. With that, Nigeria will be a great nation. Our population should be an advantage. And also, let me share this with us. Some few years ago, some blind men, we got them out of town and took them to a village in Bauchi. Today, they produce one of the best bags we sell in this country. So I'm appealing to all the state governors. If you tap into the strength of culture, crime will reduce in every society. Every zone of this country has a strength culturally. We must see the strength of every state, which is simple. We must look at the strategy of selling every country, which is the swapped analysis. Strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. The time has come. Nigerians should stop discussing its disadvantages, but now its strengths and its opportunities to unbound to move Nigeria forward for a better country. Thank you very
much, Otumba Olusegun Rishewe. Now, back to the guests we have in the Abuja studio. Of course, they are part of the same festival and the fiesta over the years, and I'm sure we want to find out what it feels like. Let's kick off with Comrade Taoko. Now, I like the fact that Otumba was trying to take away what most people want to, okay, it's just about festivals here, dancing and just showing up. What exactly is it that we've not been able to do to give value to that which is said to be our strength? You say unity in diversity, diverse cultures, but then it's as if we still don't hold much value to it. How do we step in here?
Well, first, we must go back into institutional and cultural memory of Nigerians. The first NAFEST, what we call NAFEST today, National Festival, was at a very difficult period of Nigeria's history, a period of ethnic division, schisms, political crisis with the Nigeria-Biafra Civil War. So, and it was under a military regime. Now, wanting to cement Nigerians in celebrating their diversities and recreating an ambience of unity and diversity, the National Festival came into being. And instructive that 6 years later, the National Theatre, Arts Theatre, Igomu, Lagos, was built. So in 77, 7 years later, the FESTAC, Festival of Black African Arts and Civilization, took place. So if you look at the progressive sequence of cultural development, you find a political elite wanting to find common ground that everyone could relate to. Now, if you wind forward 30 episodes of NAFES later, where are we today? It's about dancing, it's about singing, it's about cultural reproduction of the memory of ancestral origins, celebrating diversities, and reclaiming your own cultural identities and space in a global world. So the most important thing is that a culture must serve as, if I dress like this, and it doesn't produce wealth of today, it's just for what you call atavistic memory, romanticizing yesterday, it's of no use. A culture must be dynamic, like my comrade Otumba Runshewe is saying. You now have skills for young people, getting them jobs, decent jobs, not just selling cards for multinational corporations in communication. We have to get people engaged productively in adding to the GDP space rather than just depending on oil. And so I think for culture in Nigeria, the dynamism of cultural productions, ethnic, institutional memories, and sharing is the phase of what we must strive for as a unifying Nigeria. Create a Nigerian youth that is proud to say yesterday's people are today's inheritance and legacy.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade. Dr. Jantita, now, for us, still selling what we have as cultural values, it's as if it's still at its lowest ebb. Over time, we'll see people get to travel to different parts of the world, searching for what they thought is a cultural impression for those countries. And now we have them in multiples here, but we've not been able to push on in that direction. What exactly is the missing link between culture and that which is supposed to project us in terms of commerce as well as development, really?
Well, thank you very much. Every people have their own culture, and the world today is being changed drastically by technology. Gone are the days when, for example, if you look at a skyline with tall buildings, you think of New York. Today it could be Dubai, it could be Singapore, it can even be our Lagos. So the same way people are dressing almost similar, dressing in shirts and suits. So, but if you look at the trend in the world today, even in the West, people are going back to the roots because that is your identity. Culture is about what makes a people who they are. There is a saying in Zulu, a man without culture is like a zebra without stripes. Now, if you remove the stripes from a zebra, it could be a horse, it could be a donkey. So the zebra is the stripe that brings out the zebra. So it is also the culture that brings out a people. African people, West African, East African, and Scandinavian. So, so that apart, culture itself could be an asset. In this country for a long time, we've had Ministry of Culture and Tourism, which says a lot that culture we have identified as our tourism product. And it's not always the same in other countries. East Africa, Southern Africa have wildlife and tourism, which means they are selling their wildlife. So it shows you how culturally conscious we are here and how we also have identified as an asset. My brother Otumba has mentioned about the skills acquisition and supported by my brother Comrade Uko Yata. So, so certainly it's not just about singing and dancing, it's also about jobs. Technology has overtaken a lot of jobs. You know, when I was a small boy growing up in Kano, you know, I'm used to the cobblers who make shoes and a lot of other, you know, tradesmen who are fast being overtaken. But today Nigeria is a consumer nation, and the only things we manufacture, you know, in abundance are still these handicrafts, which offers a lot of job, as he has identified to our people. So honestly, people go abroad, you know, Nigerians, they travel and they come back home, and they are still looking for, I'm talking about now in terms of tourism, trying to, spend their holidays, but there's no place like home. And also, tourism, culture is something which we can sell, both in terms of inviting people to come and see our culture, and also these handicrafts that could be, exported abroad.
All right, Dr. Dantata, thank you very much. We'll come back to you later in the course of the conversation. All right, let's bring in again Comrade Ta Uko. Comrade Ta Uko, yes, we've had NAFEST or whatever variant of it that was kicked off in 1970. From your perspective, what are the enduring lessons that we have learned, from staging these festivals, this being perhaps the 30th edition of it?
Well, first is the retrieval memory. As a cultural person, the history of the people reclaiming their cultural space and identities is very important. If you look at various television clips, radio, audio, visual clips from the archives, on previous NAFEST and festivals, you will see a progression in the patterns of clothing, traditional crafts. And going back to even Festac, you find that certain ashoke have ceased to exist in terms of the technology of it. So it reminds you that you are losing something. Empirically, you can go through your past and see that there are things that you should have done in replicating knowledge that society has left. And so this reclamation, reasserting your identities as if it's an oracular pronouncement. It's to say, listen, the ways of our elders, this is what we can use to help ourselves. I'm interested in looking at how we codify cultural items that we produce into technology forms. Today, look at the internet. If you ask a Nigerian child, for instance, what is Ogbono? I'm sure the Google, if there's a joke, Mommy, let's Google it. What is Edikaikom? I didn't find it. I Googled it and I didn't say it. And so if we do not take our cultural experiences and put into technology, then external technologies will decide for us what we should be doing. And so there is nothing like a global space if you do not enter that space and dominate it. And so clothing, the clothing line in textiles, traditional textiles, is a veritable area of developing culture and providing jobs.
Good point, Tauko, you just raised, because these are some of the cultural artifacts that get to be put on display at festivals of this nature. So decomposing it, have we seen, say, over nearly half a century now, since the hosting of NAFEST, a transition, for instance, in our clothing? You mentioned Ashoke. Are there things, as we have also indicated, that we ought to, at this time, arrest and then seek to capitalize on in terms of our advantage, and then canalize all of this into technology?
Okay, let me be practical here. Let's give an example of export of yams. My people, the tea people, Benue people generally, Idoma, Igede, are great producers of yams. Zakibiam is the largest yam market in the world. But if you go there today, the place is still not developed as an international market. So that is not a plus for technological advancement of the people. If you produce yams, we should see modern presentation of these markets. It should touch the people's lives progressively and in a concrete sense. When we export yam, or yams in their varieties, it's good also in those countries we're exporting to go there and see how we can synergize with the agronomists of that particular country, so that we produce more species of yams if we know what sells abroad. And what stops us taking the New Yam Festival to Europe? Take your culture there. Don't wait for people to come to Okiwe or to Uromi to come and do New Yam Festival. As you export your yams, Nigeria has a tourism specific tourism strategy to market your products. It's also to say, as we export yams, New Yam Festival, I'm sure Nigerians in diaspora and Africans will want to see how we blend culture with modern technology. So it's us. It's us. It's not about what people think of us. It's what we ourselves do to reclaim that space and say, hey, this is what we have. This is our strength, whether in rice, in food, in clothing, in crafts. The tourism market is there all the time to be exploited.
Well, thanks. Just before we return to Otumba Arusha, well, let's take advantage of Dr. Dantata. Dr. Dantata, do we have a sense in which perhaps other related fields or other related sectors are taking advantage of festivals of this nature? I mean, look at what Comrade Tauko has said. If we're taking a look at clothing, for instance, is our fashion industry taking advantage of this? If it is food, food is part of culture, by the way. Are we taking advantage of this? Are they also participants in festivals of this nature? To just observe trends and then know how to then seek to direct the tastes of the majority of the people?
Well, I would say that interestingly, since the first festivals like the NAFES, which has been observed or started in 1970, a lot of festivals have come up, both by the federal government agencies as well as the states, and a lot of them are diversified. We even now have even a reading festival, book festival. So it's not, my friend has talked about the yam, textiles. So, and there are other festivals which are Western oriented, like the Calabar Carnival, which is also a festival. And you notice their costumes are similar to festivals abroad. So I think the festival has caught on here. And it's now, just like my two colleagues have mentioned about the SWOT analysis, we look at what is the strength, so that this festival are not just festival for festival's sake. How do they impact on the economy? We are in a globalized world, and technology is taking over. So sometimes I feel sad when I go to trade fairs, and I see most of the goods displayed are actually imported, and the only made in Nigeria goods are the artifacts, even the textiles, you know, and the small things that you find these artisans, some of them maybe even get crashed, you know, into the fair and display. But the big question is for us, to me, is to see how we could transform, you know, this our culture, how we can retain its unique aspect, and then still modernize it without killing it. I'll give you an example with the textile we're talking about. When the British invaded Nigeria and colonized us, Kano was the biggest textile industry in the whole of Africa. You know, when Lugard broke into the gates of Kano City, the whole city was a textile industry. From the men, the women, the children, everybody was involved in ginning cloth, to weaving, to dyeing. Yes. And but what attracted Lugard was the cotton, because cotton was coming from all over what is northern Nigeria today, finding its way to Kano. So, and Kano had, and the whole city, of course, it had other products like leather, but Kano was known for textile, and you could Google it. So, but the colonial policy did not encourage. They wanted the cotton, and that's the main reason why they put a railway from Lagos to Kano, you know, by 1910, and it was taking the cotton. It was later overtaken by groundnuts. But initially, the railway came to take the cotton. So now it reminds me of, was it Walter Rooney who said how Europe underdeveloped Africa? I've seen how Kano was underdeveloped, you know, and our cotton was going to Manchester and Leeds. So, but, you know, the struggle is still going on today. When I was young, in the 60s and 70s, we had very vibrant textile industries with Lagos leading, but Kano and Kaduna, you know, following suit. But today, where are the textile industries? they're all silent.
Dr. Dante, thanks a lot for the information that you have provided. I mean, recent information relating to what happened in the past. But let's go back to Kaduna Network Studios and bring in Otumba Olusegun. You've listened to our other two guests with us here in the Abuja headquarters studios. One point that I would like you to also speak to, in terms of the issues raised, for instance, by Ta Uko, are we looking to say, look, we'll separate aspects of this? Do you have cultural writers? Do you have cultural fashionistas or other persons who are taking a look at dressing and what probably may be changing in terms of the attires that these persons have? Are there other things? Are there persons who are studying what's going on at the festival to say, look, on a comparative basis, over the past 5 years, this is what we have noticed has changed, and this is what probably we can drive into technology?
Thank you very much. My two colleagues there did make some very salient points. But let me correct another impression here today. The Yam Festival, Taokwa did mention, I'm aware, and we are involved. I synergize with them. We have the Yam Festival in New York, we have in Kuala Lumpur, we have in Thailand, and we also have in Dubai. So Nigerians in diaspora are in network with us here in Nigeria. We make sure that all their festivals over there are documented in my office. You see, one of our problems is that we don't keep documents. And since I came to office, I can give you some analysis of documentation we've been able to put in place. As of today, everybody that is being trained at NAFEST is documented with their pictures, their photographs, which will be put in a system. If they come in the next 50 years and connect, they will still stay there. That is one aspect. The second one is that you cannot leave space and you claim you own the space. You must be seen either violently, politely, or otherwise to take care of that space. Over 7 million Nigerians play golf as of today, holistically. Now, that is the population of some countries, or even more. So, NCAC, we've come to launch the first ever cultural golf outfit in Nigeria. It has never happened before. We launched it in Kaduna Golf Club only last week. What happened? Kaduna Golf Club is one of the first golf clubs in the history of this country, 1921, with Mr. O being the first captain. And the first black man to be the captain there is Dr. E.B. Mama. Now, what has happened since 1921? In 1921, it was 9 holes. By 1965, it became 18 holes. So it is the right place to launch our cultural outfit. Where am I going to? I realize that to buy a set of golf pairs, to play golf in my country, in Africa, where the weather is hot, we have to buy from abroad. So many people are so proud to say, I'm wearing Tiger Woods outfit, I'm wearing this. But NCAC, we've now come with Adire, which we launched last week. If 7 million golfers in Nigeria, we now use Adire to play golf, we have already won a battle. Nigerian tailors will benefit. Producers of Adire in Ekiti, Ogun, and Kano are going to be in business. Look, we must get something clear. Some analysis come on television and be talking of how dollar can go to naira to yen. Look, we must sit down and face the reality. We must develop the products that can generate dollar to remain at home. Today, we've started teaching Nigerian youth how to make soap, how to make perfume, how to make Izal. If all the hotels in Kaduna alone, we use local toiletries, Izal, soap, perfume, and others, we can save a lot of dollars going to the supermarket. This is how other countries have developed their strength. And I also want to mention here today, culture is the palm oil to eat good yam. Culture is the brand identity for Nigeria. And I'm saying it again. Culture is the only viable replacement to oil. One day, oil will finish. And when oil finish, we need something to sustain us. Our culture must remain our pride. And this brings back to mind when one of my colleagues here mentioned, Dubai in 1991 has only 4-story building. As at 1991, Nigerian Airways was flying to London. They were still riding camel in Dubai. Today, Dubai has all the artificial attributes, but God gave us all the original, and we're not taking advantage of it. I remembered during the time of President Obasanjo, he gave a free export trade zone to Calabar that every Nigerian can go there with $2,000. We must realize today, our federal capital may not be where our fortune will start. Dubai is not the capital of UAE, it's Abu Dhabi. But everybody in UAE respects that Dubai is the senior brother economically. If we have to go for Calabar, why not? The most important thing is how do we move this country forward? God has been faithful to us. God has been nice to us. It is time to tap to culture. Culture is the replacement to oil because oil is exhaustible. Oil is exhaustible, but tourism is and culture sustainable. That is one product we can never lose. I just round up with this. If you travel anywhere in the world, they will tell you to drop your telephone, remove your shoe. Very soon we'll be removing our trousers, but you can never remove your culture. Nigerians must remember to embrace our culture. I will remember during the time of Pa Adesoya, I met him at Heathrow Airport in London, and as an elderly man, Nigerian culture is to respect elders. I spread on the ground to greet Pa Adesoya at Heathrow Airport, and 2 white men around there ran away. They thought I collapsed. This is the pride of our culture. We must respect our culture. We must benefit. Today, every family wants their children to speak English. English is not our fatherland tongue. We have everywhere that can say, you are from here, you are from there. And I want to plead with Nigerians in the spirit of sports. In 1985, Nigeria played the Zabalek of Egypt. In 1985, there was no single state, only Bendel state represented Nigeria. And we won the match. At the end of the day, Nigeria won the match. So this attitude of where do you come from, it is not necessary. What is necessary is how do we come together and move Nigeria to the next level, which is the interest of this agency under my leadership. It has now become a matter of by force. Nigeria must get it right this time. And that's our prayers.
Thank you very much, Otunba Segun Rishe, where we see the passion in you and also the enthusiasm to actually project that, which is your own passion as well. You talked about golf, and we said about 7 million golfers in Nigeria. Where are the courses? That's one. Secondly, I like the fact that you talk about the United Arab Emirates, what is being done there, transforming from Abu Dhabi to Dubai and all the big cities right there. But what are they doing differently that we're not projecting is what we'll be finding out. That's another aspect of our outlook. And also with the children, these are the future for this nation. And if there's a disconnect between what the children are learning from the Western culture and that which we have failed to teach them, then something must be wrong. Where are those tales by moonlight that we used to listen to, or the stories being told under the moonlight? Today, it's different cartoons that you don't even get to know where they're coming from, issue of sorcery and some other forms that you get to see.
Yeah,
so how is
some people were celebrating Halloween. The other is
exactly
witch's broom.
Witch's broom, the girls and all the goodies problem. So we want to find this connection, how NAFES 2017 is also projecting in this direction with the children, with the elitist game of golf. Let's find out how much of the elite will be purchasing some of these adires, even when we fail to even wear them normally.
No, well, we're wearing them. We wear them. We promote Made in Nigeria. So now it's adire on the golf course. All right. So when we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. We'll take a short break now. We still have our 3 guests: Segun Rishawe in Kaduna, Tauko here in Abuja, as well as Dr. Dantata.
Whole team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold? No! They are spread through germs which are everywhere. You collect germs that cause diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands and taking your bath with Dettol soap to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria. Let's take tweets now. We have viewers already sending in their reactions before we bring in our guest again. Dele Jack Solomon, one of our regulars, is tweeting this way. Now, first, 2017 should be used to harness the respective cultural potentials that will translate to job creation and massive economic gains for Nigeria.
And Festus Akinboyo tweets, hope the focus will be on bringing people together to celebrate our rich culture, advance our traditional values, and promote peace in our country.
Additional Adebiye, now first 2017 is a success. Kudos to the ministry and the DG.
Dele Jack Solomon tweets again. Kaduna State is hosting the NAFEST 2017. This is timely. Therefore, culture and tourism should be used to preach peace and peaceful coexistence in Nigeria.
Another one again from Festus says, events like NAFEST will help curb the activities of foreign cultural practices that have a tendency to adulterate our culture and make it irrelevant, especially with regard to our young people.
Omogbola on Babs CFR. Looking at rich and dynamic culture of the Nigerian people, I see a gold mine that's not tapped by successive leadership over the years.
And Chibuzo Jonathan says, culture starts from the language we speak. And it brings me to ask, what are we doing to enhance our language? Because it's disappearing.
And here is another tweet from Omogbola on Babs. Can we please for once let the world know culture and tourism ain't only about dancing and acrobatics? Our culture has the potential to empower millions.
All right, those are some of the tweets that we have in the meantime. Let's, Comrade Uko, again, let's get down to some of the specifics of a festival of this nature and the lessons that we can learn from there, and how all of this can become part of economic activities or scientific or technological inquiry. But language has also been raised now in terms of one of the most potent forces or vehicles for the transmission of culture. What would you like to see more in a festival of this nature, which appears to be now an annual event?
Well, more than the first, I pay homage to my comrade Otumba Orushewe. I say Otumba Babana. His dynamism and enthusiasm is what we need to keep encouraging in government officials who see business in culture. Now, what is the way forward? As the artistic director of the National Theatre and National Troupe, I'm interested in the children and women. My beautiful sister Blessing, look at your lovely hairstyle. Look at the intricate design of this. That's science. What are we doing to, for instance, annually have hairstyles, traditional hairstyles. Remember, these are the hairstyles of our mothers. As they say in Pidgin, they use and scatter our papa head then. Our fathers admired their wives, who are our mothers, through the type of clothing they wore. I'll tell you a small anecdote. In Lagos, sometime last week, I saw a multinational parading some of their stuff on the streets of Lagos. And they do what they call red carpet. And these beautiful Nigerian maidens were in jeans, torn jeans, beautiful girls, but you know this colonial space of dominating our cultural values with fake notions of beauty. Here they were trying to showcase products for Nigerian market. And there was this madman by Surulere who was chewing bread and pure water. So he saw them dancing, and he too jumped into to join the. Believe me, it was amazing. He joined the red carpet with his torn trousers and jeans, very unkempt. And the lady said, "Hey, see madman, see madman."
They were in torn jeans.
And he said, "Me too, I be member. Me too, I be member. Me too, I be member." In other words, you have torn jeans. My own is more than yours. I should be the one doing the red carpet. So that type of colonization of our cultural space is what people like us must do. Go to the children. Go to our mothers. Recreate certain forms of aesthetic value that extol our own cultural values, where we come from, the dynamism of our cultures, the plurality of it, the diversity of it. Now, Children's Theatre, the National Troupe, National Theatre, we are going to the grassroots. No more the singing and dancing to go to Europe. First, develop your intricate, intensive indigenous cultures, the native expressions of this, then find how it relates to industry, how we can reproduce these things in miniatures. The Mount Festival, why are we not doing miniatures of masquerades in even plastic form to sell as souvenirs? Why look at the intricate designs of caps. It's so computerized, and the people who do this are not literate people. From their heads, they manufacture computerized designs.
These are examples you are saying.
Yes.
Taoko,
yes.
You say, why are we not doing this? Who are the we? Whom do you have in mind?
The we.
Yes.
The we first, like I said, if you don't tie culture to industry, it will die. I'm wearing this. First, deliberate government policy. Then the focus. I told you of the young girls. Our colonial masters still recolonize us by holding on to our cultural space. First, the intricacy of the dynamism of youth, the adventurism. Lack of guidance of our youths have turned us into caricatures of the West. I told you how graduates wear torn trousers that should be given to people, stevedores, or what we call yandoko or agberos, in motor parks to use to carry load. Today it's taken, and decent people just wear it and roam the streets. And I wonder, why are you wearing torn clothes as a symbol of your cultural expression? These are the dominant symbols that do not help our country. So at the governmental level, we should emphasize those policy issues that create jobs. If I have to develop, as my comrade Dantet Munzali is saying, he's an aficionado of tourism, one of our great assets in tourism. I remember his Zuma Rock space, his tourist resort in Abuja here by Suleja. Now, such individuals synergizing with government, getting tax holidays. If you bring tourism, if you go into tourism and cultural development, government should give you tax holidays. They should have a synergy with the banks that will encourage the use of banking facilities to develop crafts. So I think it's this lack of a value chain concept and interagency synergy that is needed.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Dr. Danteza. Let's still pursue this aspect of the science to the arts that we have. and adding value. Yours, of course, beyond other areas that you have plugged in terms of cultural values. Tourism, of course, is still very key. Most people will still want to say, okay, just the same way we are saying art for art's sake in areas of tourism. And we've seen great countries, even on the continent, leveraging on this. South Africa, Kenya, and all the big ones. Why are we still failing in plugging these areas strongly? What other things can we do?
Well, I think that culture and tourism sadly has come a long way in this country. Most of the countries you mentioned, like East Africa, South Africa, during the colonial period, the colonialists went out of their way as a policy to develop the tourism industries in those areas, but there was not any similar effort in Nigeria. Throughout the 60 years the British were here, because they were more interested in other assets we had, like cocoa, like tin. At that time, oil was not even a factor, granules. So they were taking our raw material in abundance. It was only in the 60s, so that means after we got independence, that the government of Nigeria consciously went out of its way to develop culture and tourism as a veritable industry, as even an export industry up to the 1970s, as my two brothers have mentioned. The first NAFES came up. So I think that itself is a factor. Though the colonialists never tried to stop anything, they recognize our culture, as they say, so long as it's not repugnant to natural justice, for example, burying twins or killing people. So, but otherwise they allow us to continue with our culture, but they never went out to try to develop it. So now that we are in charge, and as has been mentioned, you know, the key thing is to see how to link the culture and tourism to business, because a lot of people, and I would say a lot of governments, we have 37 governments in this country, the federal government and 36. Tourism and culture is also looked as with due respect to the women, put in the same line with the women ministry or social development ministry. But I think culture and tourism should be put with the rank of the oil, you know, industry, maybe works, manufacturing, because it is a potential business industry, which a lot of countries depend on. South Africa, with all its gold and diamonds, tourism is the leading export they have. And in Eastern Africa too, particularly Kenya. So you could see that culture and tourism could create jobs in this country, and also could create wealth. The only challenge to me is how to harmonize the tradition and the modern, because we are living in a modern world.
Why have we failed to do that? I'll still take you back to something you mentioned earlier. We talked about the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
There was a time in this country, and I'm sure perhaps maybe there are still plans, the Tinapa processing or export zone in Calabar and other areas that could have been developed. There was a time it was to talk about Tinapa. Yeah. We wanted to make it like the Dubai for us in Nigeria. But today, it's a sorry story. I don't know what else that could have gone in that direction if we have failed to build up on something like that. What other areas do we need to begin to drum up that aspect of development in such areas?
Well, I think in the case of Tinapa and Calabar is a patronage, I believe. Because I give kudos to Donald Duke. He did well there. And he had a vision of Calabar as a Dubai of Nigeria, just like my brother mentioned. A lot of people think Dubai is the capital of UAE, but it's not. It's Abu Dhabi. But because somebody had a vision, and that is the Emir of Dubai, about 30 years ago, from nowhere he projected to Dubai, and today Dubai is not only a leading city in UAE or Middle East, but even in the world. So in the case of Calabar, I think that the vision was the same. Tinapa has a lot of shops and a lot of, and they're still there, and warehouses. But I think and even a studio. You know, I've been to Tinapa several times, and I think between Tinapa and the Obudu and the Carnival, I think Cross River is doing very well, and it has a product that it can be marketed abroad, and also Nigerians should try to go there instead of going to Dubai and other countries.
All right, Dr. Dantata, thank you very much. Let's get our viewers again, their comments by way of tweets. You can see the handle on your screen. That's the lower left side. That's at NTA GMN. Sunday Michael Amakoji tweet says, some few weeks ago, some senators traveled to Turkey and paid heavily to obtain tickets to attend a festival. Why is ours free?
Obi Naoli, William Okoro has this tweet. Please, culture should now refocus on our science by federal government having Ministry of Science, Technology and Culture to stop these dance and song craze as Afroculture.
And Amagbola Home Babs has this again. We must use this year's occasion, that's of the festival, to redefine our unity, promote togetherness, celebrate our diversity. Time to place us above the Western influence.
Sakiru tweets, organizers of NAFEST are those who love Nigeria the most. I hope it should be twice in a year, as it will bring peace, togetherness and employment.
Ibrahim Tudu tweets, we must pressure state governance and sensitize them to see the importance and contribution of culture to national development.
Now, Dele Jack Solomon has this tweet. We implore the federal government through National Council of Art and Culture of Nigeria to sustain the 6 different skills acquisition program and the first ever cultural golf tournament introduced in Kaduna. These innovations have shown that the art and culture sector is a potential gold mine for national development in Nigeria.
And Ibn Bature has this tweet, says NAFEST has come at the right time because Nigeria needs unity and peace now more than ever. And I think that the Nigerian elites need to sacrifice for the common good and have a sense of belonging.
Now, Sani Michael Omakoji, thank you. We already had these thoughts running through our minds here while we went on the break. After this festival, what do we expect from this industry? How is it going to benefit the ordinary Nigerian on the streets?
And then we have Ibrahim Tudu again. It says, in Nigeria, costumes and the arts are limited to ceremonies, but let us know that culture has high potential of contribution to GDP.
Jibril Naina says, there is no doubt Nigeria's culture around the world is unique and amazing. Our culture signifies our insolubility.
And Bright Irene has this tweet, the colonial master has brainwashed our people. That's why our people don't value our culture anymore. So those are the second set of tweets that we are taking. Let's bring in again another perspective to our discussion. My question goes to Comrade Ta Oko. And by the way, Comrade Ta Oko, you've referred to Dr. Dantata and Otumba Runshawe as comrades, but they have not responded because it seems to be a contradiction in terms. To be said that Dantata, that's a business magnate, and then Otumba, who's a royalty, calling them comrades, but you are a comrade. But my question goes to you. My question goes to you. And it has to do with the other intangible aspects of culture, which is our value and our value system. I do not know how much of this we are seeking to harness or harvest or seek to cultivate, or not cultivate, to seek to encourage at NAFEST 2017 and going forward. How can we, as it were, dredge up our core cultural values to confront some of the major ills that confront Nigeria today? We talk about corruption, and then also our apparent poor work ethic in a great variety of cases.
Well, on a lighter note, Comrade Munzali Dantata is my younger brother and comrade from college. And so if he's pretending to be a magnate, he's still a comrade. Otumba is also my brother. All these are fine comrades. Never mind royalty or non-royalty. We can't say he's a bourgeois. We'll just say he's a fine comrade. I'll say one thing. First, this myth that Dubanization of the third world, in itself is part of the anachronism of development. Let's demystify that. Import substitution. The goods you go and buy in Dubai are not manufactured in Dubai. They are manufactured by the West that created this craze mentality of consumerism, of Western-produced artifacts and goods and services transported to a place that just wants money. So I don't want to see a Dubai in Nigeria because I want to wear Abba shoes. My shoes, my clothes, I do locally. All my clothing comes from villages. I'm proud of being a local boy, a village boy, still an educated man. So TINAPA failed. TINAPA failed because the philosophy was import substitution. Good as it is, part of my problem with people who set up to do carnivals across Nigeria, they leave the Nigerian carnival spirit of Mount festivals and import Caribbean sensitivities, imitating Africa. So we go to Brazil after their carnival, we buy second-used costumes. We deprive our people making these costumes. We go to Notting Hill, we go to Trinidad and Tobago, and import used costumes of themes, which do not relate to our own cultural setting. One of those areas I criticized vehemently was the usual Abuja Carnival. Thank God it's been cancelled now, and I'll advocate for that never to happen. If we're going to have Abuja Carnival, it should be the Gbagi people, the Basange people, the Nupe people, the Ibira people of the various municipal council areas coming together with their festivals. Our festivals must not wait for NAFEST. Regatta. How many states in the country host regatta? So we should have regatta festivals. So there is a tourism calendar. How many host masquerade festivals? They can rotate among their states. Those who have New Yam Festival, rotate this. Like I keep saying, every time I have an occasion to speak on our festivals, I say, scientify this. Turn it to science. Let it bring money to us. We have drones now. Drones exist. Nigerians produce drones. These drones can still be used to carry messages. They can still be used to even spray crops where you have koala beds, you have pests. You can use science to develop your culture.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks a lot for the response you've given, but specific to the question that I asked with regard to, say, those aspects of our cultural values to deal with the challenges that we face.
I say theater.
Corruption and work
Yes,
ethic.
corruption. What do? It's attitudinal change. We say change begins with me and you. So it's not something you legislate. From today, stop being corrupt. We should punish people who steal our money in our places of work. And when crooks and thieves are given national honors, the civil society should rise and condemn it and say, no, this man is Baraoni, is an inglorious man, is perfidious man. Why do you want to showcase this man? When people steal money and go to church and sit in the front pew, I think they offend God.
All right, thank you very much.
So it's the cultural values too that we must develop on.
Okay, Otumba Olusegun Rushewe, I'm sure you've listened in the other two guests for quite some time now. Now, packaging, tourism, packaging culture, packaging arts, for packaging all those festivals and all what we have listed or we've talked about for the industry to develop is another area. Kingsley also mentioned the issue of intangibility of our culture, those aspects. How do we begin to leverage on all of this to actually develop nationally?
Thank you very much, Blessing, but I believe posterity will not forgive me if I don't make some salient correction. Let me get something clear today that we are not saying we are bringing Dubai to Nigeria. Dubai is a marketing platform to market it for its own people to create jobs. And that's what we're after. I want us to remember that when Dubai started with that wonderful gentleman, Donald Duke, who had the vision, Debenhams of London, ShopRite, Sagini, Pataroni, all of them had already acquired shops in Calabar. Now, if those shops come to Calabar, I want to tell you today that it's going to create jobs for the catchment area. Let me commend the Aba people today again. When Nigerians buy things based on name tag, they went to Aba, produced shoes, produced shirt, everything, and they tag it and pack it to Dubai. The same Nigerians go to Dubai to buy Aba product. So we should understand what we mean by creating a marketing platform. That is one. Let me sincerely thank you for the issue of corruption you brought in today. 2 months after I resumed in office, I visited the chairman of EFCC, Malam Magu. Nigerians are not bad people. We are not really corrupt people, as been said. When I visited Magu, the chairman of EFCC, people were wondering. I said, look, there is a serious connection to fighting corruption and our cultural values. Like my colleague said there, a man goes to commit crime in America, spoil my name and your name, is known as a Nigerian, and he comes back home and you give him a title, you celebrate him. I think we should dance with him to his market square in his village, expose him. That is one. 2, a criminal commits serious crime. He will phone a respected Nigerian to come and take his bail, and his bail is being taken. If somebody commits crime today and nobody takes his bail, I can assure you the culture of crime is reducing. But somebody commits a major crime and a very senior person drives his car with returning of security to the station to tell everybody he's there and take bail of that person, then we are encouraging corruption. No matter how EFCC fight corruption, we must be able to help them to fight it together. And that is why we are working with the EFCC chairman, Malam Magu, who I want to publicly commend for what he has been doing, because he's ready for us to bring up a cultural content of fighting corruption. We are working on that. Nigerians will soon see that pretty soon. The other one aspect is that a lot of schools in Nigeria today import school uniform from abroad. And you are telling me there's unemployment in Nigeria? Who is causing it? We are all guilty of it. A Nigerian child, if he speaks Hausa and make mistake, nobody bothers. But if he speaks English, they will say he has throw bomb. Who do we blame? We need to come back home and believe in our own. I will use this analogy today, probably for the very first time. The colonial masters came to this country and gave us everything, and we took everything. The same colonial masters went to India, gave them everything, they took only technology and retained everything of their own. So we must sit down as a people to think of how this sector can make a change. Also, I don't agree with those who says you must get enough money to do your best in any assignment. If you know that you cannot do your best in an assignment, why are you there? The little you are being given, if you judiciously use it well, you will get more. The problem of this sector has always been leadership. Nobody will advocate for your sector except you advocate for it. Like one of my brothers there mentioned, if you go to South Africa, you go to the Gambia, you go to Sierra Leone, you go to most of the African countries, Ministry of Culture and Tourism is like the Ministry of Finance because there's contribution. And also, Kisley, with due respect, you mentioned something that touched me. What is the tangible and intangible contribution? The contribution of this sector, it's a long time stuff. I'll give you just a quick example here today. The first carnival that happened in the world is the Trinidad and Tobago, which is 189 years old today, followed by Brazilian Carnival, which is also 88 years old, then Notting Hill Carnival, which is just 38 years old. Now, to be honest with you, if you go to Calabar today, most of those costumes are being sewn, produced locally at home. If we are making a case to say they can modify the costumes, fair enough. But the issue that we import them, no. I was in Calabar last 2 weeks, and I saw it myself. Secondly, His Excellency, the governor of Cross River State, have accepted, has approved, with humility, for all the cultural commissioners to meet, just based on the advice you gave now, and some of the tweets. We're already working on it. We're going to meet. We now want to identify what is the strength of each zone. You cannot take leather away from Kano. You cannot take Adire away from Abeokuta. You cannot take away local apps from the Benue and Co. You cannot take, every zone has its own strength. So what we need to do is to come together, identify the strength, and put it there. And I want to mention here today, we are working on a calendar of all the festivals in Nigeria, so that is the way we can sell it to foreigners, Nigerians in diaspora, so that their children can come in home on holidays in December. I'm talking to 3 airlines now who will bring Nigerian children from abroad in December. That's the way to, this thing are packaging, like you said. We must package the hotel they will stay, the airline, places they will visit. In most cases, we don't package what we have.
All right, Otumba Olusegun Roshanwe, thank you very much there for your insights. But I just, again, to make a correction, I wasn't talking about the tangible or intangible contributions of culture to the economy. I referred to the intangible aspects of our culture, namely values, and how those values can be dredged up to fight current societal ills, including work ethic and corruption. And that's what Ta Uko referred to. But just before we take our last set of tweets, Dr. Dantata, one point I would like you to touch on. Of course, when you stage a festival of this nature, you are interested in attendance, and then you are also interested in the knock-on effect with regard to other issues. Very briefly, what are tourists looking for in a festival of this nature? And are there gaps?
Well, I would say first and foremost, the tourists are looking for something unique. Which is akin to that place they're going to. They will not come all the way to Africa, for example, to see a carnival that they could see they could see in Southern America. So that's first and foremost, and not only festival. For that matter, that's what tourism is all about. You go to certain places to see. For example, you want to see snow. You may go to the Scandinavia, you want to experience snow, and you want to experience wildlife. Africa is the richest in wildlife. So the same thing with the festival. And I'm glad that my brother said they're going to try to coordinate the carnivals in this country, because I'll not say there's a proliferation, but more and more carnivals are coming out, and a lot of them are not, I would say, sellable internationally. So we need to have some strong carnivals and festivals which we could sell, and which have some Nigerian identity, West African identity, which, just like my brother Tauko mentioned, that's what makes us us, and that is our selling point.
All right, thank you very much. More tweets, and then we'll call the discussion a day. Culture, this is from Oke Udo. Culture is a veritable tool for development and to fight corruption. Culture drives value and unites entities. Let's teach and inculcate same.
All right, this is from Jibril Babangida. Says, how can we reach the agency for the Hash Adire Golf Costumes Initiative?
Jibril Naina, again, DG, you're amazing. Kanu will be hospitable and ready if it will be granted to host the next NAFES.
And this is from Bolaji Oladimeji. Government should encourage public servants and professionals to adopt local dresses to be accommodated in offices and private organizations. Brightering,
if our culture is going to be sustained, there should be continuity in our system.
Ogabidu tweets and a question. Do we have a cultural calendar?
Well, that's all, working on it. Anthony Blogger says, let's forget about the NAFES Nigeria as a country needs change in political ideology. Truly, Nigerian problem is from within.
And this is from a Twitter handle, World Famous. My contribution goes to complementing the attire of Ta Uko. And then it says the second man looks more like President Buhari. All right, those are the tweets that we can take from our viewers. We thank you, of course, for sending in your comments. We also would like to, at this time, appreciate all our three guests joining us from our Kaduna Network Center. Was Otumba Olusegun Rushewe, Director General of the National Council for Arts and Culture. It's right there in Kaduna where NAFES 2017 is taking place. So Otumba Rushewe, thanks a lot for being part of our discussion this morning.
Thank you very much. Always remember our culture eats our pride.
Here in our Lagos studios, Ta Uko, Comrade Ta Uko, Artistic Director and CEO of National Troupe, as well as National Arts Theatre. Comrade Uko, thanks a lot for being here with us today.
Thank you, Comrade.
Thanks also to Dr. Munzali Dantata, former CEO of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, and also, of course, a player in the tourist industry. Thank you very much for being with us. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so let's go quickly now to our complimentary segments, and we are taking sports.